What is your favorite?
Welcome to the Ocean News. My name is Rory and I am live from London studio.
Hello, I'm Shab Kareem and we're live on Ocean News from London.
We bring you the latest developments from around the globe, alongside in-depth coverage of the stories. Let's dive right into the headlines.
2 men were killed when a man drove a car into pedestrians and stabbed a security guard in an attack at a synagogue where worshippers were marking Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, British police said. Greater Manchester Police said the man who carried out the attack at the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue in the Crumpsall district of the city in northern England was believed to be Jihad al-Shami, a 35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent. The suspect, who was wearing what appeared to be a vest with an explosive device, was shot dead at the scene by armed officers. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has promised to do everything in his power to protect Jewish people as he said Britain must defeat anti-Semitic hate. The Prime Minister was speaking after 2 people were killed in a car and stabbing attack at the Heaton Park Synagogue in Crumpsall, North Manchester.
North Korea should consider resuming reunions of families separated during the Korean War of 1950 to 1953. As part of humanitarian cooperation measures between the neighbours, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung said today. After meeting ahead of Thanksgiving holidays, Lee told South Koreans who had families in the north that he hoped for an easing of hostility and resumption of cooperation. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif lauded the security forces for killing 7 Indian-backed terrorists in Balochistan's district of Hirani. The Premier went on to say that the government and the security forces were determined to completely eliminate terrorism from the country. Pakistan's security forces have killed 7 Indian-sponsored terrorists in an intelligence-based operation conducted in Shirani district of Balochistan, the Inter-Services Public Relations said in a statement. According to the military's media wing, the security forces conducted an IBO on the reported presence of terrorists belonging to the Indian proxy, Fitna al-Khawarij, or the outlawed to free, Taliban Pakistan. Sanitization operation was being conducted to eliminate any other Indian-sponsored terrorists found in the area. The 20 points that US President Donald Trump announced as part of his Gaza plan this week were not in line with the draft proposed by a group of Muslim-majority countries, Pakistani Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar said. Changes were made in the plan, Dar told Pakistani lawmakers in Parliament. Trump published on Monday the plan that would end the war between Israel and Hamas militants and require the return of all hostages, living and dead, within 72 hours of a Kete. Russian President Vladimir Putin said he felt comfortable speaking to his US President Donald Trump, praising his attempt made at the Alaska summit to search for and find possible ways to settle the Ukrainian crisis, but warned that the supply of the US Tomahawk long-range cruise missiles to Ukraine would signal a qualitatively new stage of escalation. Including in relations between Russia and the US, Putin noted that the long-range missiles would not make a significant impact on the battlefield, emphasizing that the Russian military is continuously making gains against Ukraine. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators in Europe blocked traffic and vandalized shops and restaurants after Israeli forces intercepted a Gaza-bound humanitarian aid flotilla. Israel faced international condemnation after armed Israeli soldiers boarded around 40 ships that were attempting to break a naval blockade, arresting more than 400 foreign activists, including Swedish climate campaigner Greta Thunberg. In Barcelona, protesters smashed or spray-painted anti-Israel slogans on windows of stores and accusing them of complicity in Israel's offensive in the Gaza Strip. In Italy, students occupied universities, including Milan's Statale and Rome's La Sapienza, and blocked access to Bologna's university using car tyres. Across Europe, thousands of protesters took to the street in Dublin, Paris, Berlin and Geneva to condemn Israel's interception of the flotilla. Rallies also took place in Buenos Aires, Mexico City and Karachi.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan condemned Israel's interception of the global Sumud flotilla in international waters, calling it banditry and accusing Israel of trying to conceal its crimes in Gaza. He accused Israel of having no tolerance for even the possibility of peace, let alone its establishment. Erdogan's criticism came shortly after the Istanbul Chief Prosecutor's Office announced an investigation into the Israeli detention of Turkish citizens aboard the flotilla.
North Korea should consider resuming reunions of families separated during the Korean War of 1950 to 1953 as part of humanitarian cooperation measures between the neighbors, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung said today. At a meeting ahead of Thanksgiving holidays, Lee told South Koreans who had families in the north that he hoped for an easing of hostility and resumption of cooperation. Catherine, Princess of Wales, performed a loop-the-loop in a flight simulator during her first visit to one of the UK's most important RAF stations. RAF Coningsby is home to the Typhoon jets that protect the country's airspace. The Princess became Royal Honorary Air Commodore of the base in 2023. She met RAF personnel and their families. As well as viewing aircraft and a newly opened training facility, Catherine arrived in a helicopter at the base and was briefed about recent RAF operations, including supporting NATO in Poland. She spoke to pilots about their roles and experiences. Kensington Palace said, "The Princess was also shown a Typhoon by wing, Djar Luke Wilkinson, before climbing stairs up to the cockpit." The death toll in Vietnam from Typhoon Bulawayo and the floods it triggered has risen to 51, according to a Friday government report, as the central bank urged banks to support affected businesses. Bulawayo made landfall on Monday in northern central Vietnam, bringing huge sea swells, strong winds and heavy rains that also left 14 people missing and injured 164 others, according to the report from the government's disaster management agency. The typhoon severely damaged roads, schools and offices and caused power grid failures that left tens of thousands of families without electricity, the report said.
In USA, Illinois health officials are investigating after multiple cases of Legionnaire's disease were linked to a suburban nursing home. According to Illinois Department of Public Health, the two cases were linked to the Alden Valley Ridge Rehabilitation and Health Center in suburban Bloomingdale last month. Officials say both patients linked to the skilled nursing facility have since recovered from their illnesses. An investigation found the bacteria Legionella pneumophila within the water supply at the facility. Legionnaire's disease is a severe form of pneumonia that is typically transmitted via contaminated water or soil. While most individuals exposed don't develop severe illness, those with weakened immune systems, or those who smoke, are at higher risk, according to Mayo Clinic.
A group of Tesla shareholders, including SOC Investment Group and several state officials, urged investors to vote against Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay package at the company's November meeting. A regulatory filing showed. In the letter to Tesla shareholders, the coalition, which also includes state treasurers of Nevada, New Mexico and Connecticut, called on investors to oppose the re-election of directors Ira Ehrenpreis, Joe Gebbia and Kathleen Wilson-Thompson. The group cited what it called the board's relentless pursuit of retaining Musk, saying it has delayed progress on key goals set at the last annual meeting and pointed to declining operational and financial performance and a failure to provide meaningful retail oversight of management. Those were the headlines. Stay with us as we delve into each story in greater detail after a brief pause.
Ocean News, always on.
Hello again, I'm Rory and you're watching Ocean News, broadcasting live from London. Stay with us as we bring you an in-depth look at today's top stories. Global security concerns are rising as rival powers pursue competing interests. Analysts say the risk of miscalculation has really been higher.
British police say 2 people were killed on Thursday and 3 are in serious condition after a man drove a car into pedestrians and stabbed a security guard in an attack at a synagogue in Manchester. Worshippers were marking Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. Police identified the suspect as Jihad al-Shami, a 35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent. Police said he was wearing what appeared to be a vest with an explosive device and was shot dead after officers rushed to the scene at the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue. A bomb disposal unit was later called and police confirmed the device that the suspect was wearing was not viable. Here's Greater Manchester Police Chief Constable Stephen Watson.
We can confirm that 2 members of our Jewish community have sadly died as a result of this attack. Following a rapid response, armed officers from Greater Manchester Police intercepted the offender and he was fatally shot by officers within 7 minutes of the original call.
The police added that 3 suspects were currently in custody and have been arrested on suspicion of commission, preparation, and instigation of acts of terrorism. Prime Minister Keir Starmer rushed away early from a European summit in Copenhagen to chair an emergency meeting in London. He promised to do everything he could to provide security to the Jewish community and deployed more police to synagogues.
We must be clear. It is a hatred that is rising once again. And Britain must defeat it once again. To every Jewish person in this country, I also want to say this. I know how much fear you will be holding inside of you. I really do. And so, on behalf of our country, I express my solidarity, but also my sadness that you still have to live with these fears.
But Gideon Sa'ar, the foreign minister of Israel, which has criticized Britain for its recent decision to recognize a Palestinian state, said authorities had failed to curb anti-Semitism and effectively allowed it to persist.
The conflict between Israel and Hamas has entered a new phase, drawing condemnation and appeals for calm from world leaders. Humanitarian groups warn of worsening conditions for civilians.
75 miles off Gaza, an international maritime incident. Israel stops and arrests almost 40 vessels. The global flotilla attempting to breach Israel's siege of Gaza with symbolic aid. Lawyers, at least one MEP, and Green activist Greta Thunberg among the 500 protesters aboard the vessels.
I have been abducted and taken against my will by Israeli forces. Our humanitarian mission was non-violent and abiding by international law.
Escorted to shore, Israel calls this the Hamas flotilla, says it offered safe passage to deliver aid and warned the peace campaigners were about to violate what it claims is a legal naval blockade. But that legality is hotly disputed.
Whether the detention is lawful depends on the lawfulness of the blockade. A blockade essentially has to be defensive, and the argument that Israel will be running here is that this is a defensive measure designed to smoke out Hamas or defend Israel against Hamas. Whether you accept that or not depends upon your appreciation of the underlying facts.
Israel claims all those taken are safe and in good health pending extradition. We can't independently verify that. But the arrests have sparked global protests. Demonstrators late yesterday in Rome, Naples, Istanbul, Athens and Buenos Aires. The Turkish government called the arrests an act of terror. Colombia's president condemned it as Netanyahu's new international crime. Pakistan said it was part of Israel's ongoing aggression and it violated international law. Peace may or may not be nearer. Today may be one of the holiest days in Israel's calendar, but in Gaza it is day 727 of what the UN deems Israel's genocide. Last chance, says Israel, to get out of Gaza City.
We crossed an hour and a half ago. There was a group of displaced people, including an elderly woman. A drone dropped a bomb on them, which led to the death of some and the injury of a woman who was taken to the hospital.
One picture telling the story, the background, what was Gaza City, pulverized. The foreground, what is now life in Gaza, a tent if you're lucky. Between the two, snaking lines of people, seeking food, water, safety, whatever that might be. Israeli forces continue their air, artillery and infantry offensive to surround, enter and attack Gaza City. But this, of course, far from the only place under bombardment. At least 10 people killed in Deir al-Balah, central Gaza, the Abu Ghuraba family home attacked by Israel. Among the dead, 26-year-old Omar al-Hayek, staff member with the Doctors Without Borders charity.
That's what happened. After the strike, we began collecting the remains of the bodies. Pieces, hands, legs, hair and flesh. That is what we went through. A disaster, a disaster.
Israel's mantra, it is attacking Hamas.
There are no suspects or wanted people here. The people here are farmers. They have nothing to do with any side or any group. They only live on their land to plant and cultivate.
The human bodies now gone, leaving the dead livestock remaining in a devastated landscape.
Thank you for watching Ocean News live from London. We'll be back next hour with a fresh update on the stories that matter most. For now, this is Rory signing off. Stay informed, stay with Ocean News.
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 Ocean News. Ocean News. Ocean News.
Ocean News.
Ocean News.
Ocean News.
Ocean News.
Ocean News.
Ocean News.
Ocean News.
Ocean News. Always on.
This is Iraj Khan live from Karachi studio. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators in Europe blocked traffic and vandalized shops and restaurants after Israeli forces intercepted a Gaza-bound humanitarian and flotilla. Israel faced international condemnation after armed Israeli soldiers boarded around 40 ships that were attempting to break a naval blockade to deliver aid to the Palestinian enclave, arresting more than 400 foreign activists, including Swedish climate campaigner Greta Thunberg. In Barcelona, protesters smashed or spray-painted anti-Israel slogans on windows of stores and restaurants, including coffee chain Starbucks, hamburger franchise Burger King, and supermarket chain Carrefour, accusing them of complicity in Israel's offensive in the Gaza Strip. In Italy, students occupied universities including Milan's Statale and Rome's La Sapienza and blocked access to Bologna's university using car tires, video footage showed. In Turin, hundreds of people blocked traffic on the city's ring road. In Istanbul, a crowd gathered outside the Israeli embassy holding aloft banners with slogans such as "Israel is massacring humanity, not Gaza. Do not be silent. Do not sit. Stand up." The war in Gaza has killed more than 66,000 people, according to Palestinian authorities. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News. This is Iraj Khan live from Karachi studio. The British government vowed to redouble its efforts to tackle anti-Semitism on Friday, as the Jewish community reeled from an attack at a Manchester synagogue that killed 2 people on Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. The Israeli government has accused Britain of allowing rampant anti-Semitism to spread through British cities and on its university campuses in the wake of the October 7, 2023 attack by Hamas on Israel that sparked Israel's war in Gaza. Earlier on Friday, police named the 2 men killed in the attack as Adrian Dolby, 53, and Melvin Kravitz, 66, both local residents. The men were killed on Thursday when a man drove a car into pedestrians and then began stabbing them outside the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue in the city in northern England. The attacker has been named by police as Jihad al-Shami, a 35-year-old British citizen of Syrian descent who was shot dead at the scene by armed officers. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News. This is Iraj Khan live from Karachi studio. A group of Tesla shareholders, including SOC Investment Group and several state officials, urged investors to vote against Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay package at the company's November meeting, a regulatory filing showed on Thursday. In the letter to Tesla shareholders, the coalition, which also includes state treasurers of Nevada, New Mexico, and Connecticut, called on investors to oppose the re-elections of Director Ira Aaron Price, Joe Gebbia, and Kathleen Wilson Thompson. The group cited what it called relentless pursuit of retaining Musk, saying it has delayed progress on key goals set at the last annual meeting, and pointed to declining operational and financial performance and a failure to provide meaningful real-time oversight of management. Despite reporting record quarterly deliveries on Thursday, Tesla faces worries that the expiration of the US EV tax credit could turn the buying rush into a trickle. Last month, Tesla's board proposed a $1 trillion compensation plan for CEO Elon Musk in what it described as the largest corporate pay package in history, setting ambitious performance targets and aiming to address his push for greater control over the company. The company said if Elon Musk doesn't deliver results, he receives nothing. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News. This is Iraj Khan live from Karachi studio. The 20 points that US President Donald Trump announced as part of his Gaza plan this week were not in line with the draft proposed by a group of Muslim majority countries, Pakistani Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar said. Changes were met in the plan, Dar told Pakistani lawmakers in parliament. Trump published on Monday the plan that would end the war between Israel and Hamas militants and require the return of all hostages living and dead within 72 hours of a ceasefire. The plan leaves many details for negotiators to hash out and hinges on acceptance by Hamas militants who launched the war against Israel on October 7, 2023. It refers to a redeveloped Gaza as New Gaza. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News. This is Iraj Khan live from Karachi studio. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif lauded the security forces for killing 7 Indian-backed terrorists in Balochistan district of Sherani. The Premier went on to say that the government and the security forces were determined to completely eliminate terrorism from the country. Pakistan security forces have killed 7 Indian-sponsored terrorists in an intelligence-based operation conducted in Sharani district of Balochistan, the Inter-Services Public Relations said in a statement on Friday. According to the military's media wing, the security forces conducted an IBO on the reported presence of terrorists belonging to the Indian proxy, Fitna ul-Khawarij, or the outlawed Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. Sanitization operation was being conducted to eliminate any other Indian-sponsored terrorists found in the area. According to the military's media wing, the security forces of Pakistan are determined to wipe out the menace of Indian-sponsored terrorism from the country and reaffirm the nation's unwavering resolve to bring the perpetrators of terrorism to justice, it added. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News.
This is Rory live from London studios. On the evening of January the 30th, 1948, Mahatma Gandhi walked into the prayer grounds of Birla House in New Delhi. Just before 5:20 p.m, 3 shots rang out. Gandhi fell instantly, uttering his last words, "Hey Ram!" He was 78 years old. The assassin was Netharam Godse, a Hindu nationalist who opposed Gandhi's policy of non-violence and his efforts at Hindu-Muslim reconciliation after partition. Godse was immediately arrested on the spot. The murder shocked India and the world. An emergency investigation began within hours. The police uncovered that Godse was not acting alone, was part of a wider conspiracy involving several members of the Hindu Mahasabha. The official inquiry revealed links to Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, though evidence against him was declared insufficient. Investigators also admitted to serious security lapses. Gandhi had already faced previous assassination attempts. The Gandhi murder case trial in 1948 sentenced Godse and Narayan Apte to death, while others were jailed, but many questions were left unanswered. Historians' commissions and even later court reviews point out that the conspiracy may have run deeper. Several suspected backers were never fully investigated, and some argue the real masterminds escaped justice. For many, Gandhi's murder remains an unfinished story, not just a personal tragedy, but a reminder of how fragile a democracy can be when extremism and hatred go unchecked. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News. This is Rory live from London studios. In an embarrassment for the host nation, an England women's cricketer has expressed shock over the unhygienic conditions in Guwahati Nida, a key venue of the 2025 Women's Cricket World Cup. She described garbage heaps lining the streets, unbearable odours, and an overall lack of basic cleanliness. Her comments have gone viral. triggering fierce debate about India's preparedness to host international sporting events. Critics warn that such scenes tarnish India's global image, with the focus shifting from cricket to civic neglect. Others argue that the controversy highlights a deeper issue with that world-class hospitality is judged not just inside stadiums, but also on the streets, outside them. India has always been very casual in hosting international players. During Cricket World Cup 2023, air pollution causes concern. Bangladesh and Sri Lanka cancelled training sessions. Some of the Bangladesh team did train the day before the game, mostly in masks. Those with asthma stayed away. Both teams publicly raised the issue of air quality. Indian dirtiness and mismanagement was also exposed during 2010 Commonwealth Games, when the Commonwealth Games Federation head has demanded the Indian government take immediate steps to improve conditions at the athletes' village in Delhi. Team delegates have described the accommodation as filthy, unhygienic, and unfit for human habitation. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News.
This is Simon Tilley live from the London studio. A suspected knifeman attacked worshippers outside Manchester's Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue on October the 2nd, 2025. Wounding 4 people on the Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur, the incident unfolded shortly after 9:30 a.m. local time in the Crumpsall neighbourhood, with police declaring a major incident and deploying firearms officers within minutes. The assailant who rammed the vehicle into victims before stabbing them was shot by Greater Manchester Police at 9:38 a.m. and is believed to be the lone offender. No further details on his identity or motive were released. Injuries included wounds from both the vehicle and blades, with no deaths reported. Operation Plato, the UK's marauding terrorist response protocol, was activated amid a multi-agency effort. Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemned the appalling attack. The fact that this has taken place on Yom Kippur makes it all the more horrific. My thoughts are with the loved ones of all those affected. Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham urged against speculation. The immediate danger appears to be over, and GMP have dealt with it very quickly. The Community Security Trust praised responder. This appears to be an appalling attack on the holiest day of the Jewish year. The North West Ambulance Service treated the wounded on site coming days before the second anniversary of the October the 7th, 2023. Attacks on Israel. The incident heightens UK concerns over rising anti-Semitic violence, per CST records. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News. This is Simon Tilley live from the London studio. Israeli naval forces intercepted the global Sumud flotilla on October the 1st, 2025, detaining over hundreds of activists, including Greta Thunberg, 70 nautical miles off Gaza's coast in international waters. The GSF, with 50 boats and 500 participants from dozens of countries, departed Barcelona on August the 31st, carrying aid, food, water, medicine to challenge Israel's 80-year maritime blockade. Amid Gaza's escalating famine, troops boarded vessels like the Alma and Ulara. No injuries occurred, though GSF alleged ramming and water cannons on the Sirius. Israel's foreign ministry called it a provocation in a combat zone, offering Ashdod port aid transfer, which organizers rejected, denying Hamas ties. UN reports confirm man-made famine in parts of Gaza, with 66,000 Palestinian deaths since October 2023 per health officials. Israel's UN ambassador Danny Danon stated, "We will not allow any PR stunt to violate our sovereignty." GSF countered, "This is an illegal attack on unarmed humanitarians." Protests erupted in Turkey, Italy, Greece and Tunisia. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro expelled Israeli diplomats, calling it an international crime. The raid evokes 2010's deadly Mavi Marmara clash, with 23 vessels still advancing per GSF trackers. The incident spotlights stalled aid and peace efforts in the Israel-Hamas war. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News. This is Simon Tilley live from the London studio. Taiwan has firmly resisted US demands to relocate half its semiconductor production to America, viewing the industry as a vital deterrent against Chinese aggression. Amid escalating trade tensions, US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick pressed for a 50-50 split during recent talks, arguing, "If you have 95%, how am I going to get it to protect you? You're going to put it on a plane?" He aims to boost US-made chips to 40-50% market share, citing Taiwan's dominance in 95% of global advanced production. Mainly via Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the fifth round of US Day One negotiations advanced tariff reductions from 20% on Taiwan's goods, but sidestepped the production demand. Opposition Kuomintang legislator Xu Ken warned, forcing a division of TSMC's advanced capacity weakens the silicon shield, losing Taiwan's strategic leverage. Expert Arisa Liu of the Taiwan Institute of Economic Research, RCH, added, "Shifting investments undermines our supply chain ecosystem." TSMC has invested $165 billion in US plants, including a $12 billion Phoenix facility in 2020. Yet Taiwan privatizes retaining core expertise. Analysts note the standoff risks souring alliances as Taiwan balances economic ties with sovereignty in the chip wars. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News. This is Simon Tilley live from the London studio. The US federal government shut down on October the 1st, 2025, after Congress missed a midnight deadline for a spending bill, furloughing hundreds of thousands of workers amid partisan deadlock. The Senate adjourned without agreement, with a Republican motion to avert the crisis failing by a 51-48 vote hours later. Another attempt is set for Friday. In Washington, D.C., up to 750,000 federal employees, 40% of the workforce, face unpaid leave within 2 days. Per analysts exceeding the 2018 shutdown scale, essential staff, including border agents and military personnel, will work without pay. Non-essential roles halt, though past shutdowns saw retroactive compensation. The last closure was nearly 7 years ago, triggered by similar budget disputes. Vice President J.D. Vance blamed Democrats. If they are so worried, what they should do is reopen the government. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt added, "Democrats put us in this position." Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer accused Republicans of bullying, while Senator Chris Murphy questioned, "Why are they boycotting negotiations?" Senate Majority Leader John Thune countered that Democrats have taken the American people hostage. Democrats demand healthcare funding protections. Republicans push a stopgap to mid-November account levels, calling extensions unnecessary post-COVID. The impasse, led by Speaker Mike Johnson and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, risk economic ripple effects in this election year standoff. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News. This is Simon Tilley live from the London studio. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has backed a US-led 20-point Gaza plan unveiled by President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, signaling a bold step toward Middle East stability. Revealed on September 29, 2025. In Washington, the plan promises a ceasefire, hostage release, Gaza's demilitarizations and transitional governance. Welcomed by Muslim nations and European allies, it urges Hamas to accept terms for lasting peace. The framework aims to balance security with progress, though details on statehood in Jerusalem remain under discussion. Sharif, in an X post, praised the plan. Durable peace between Palestinians and Israel is vital for regional stability and economic growth. Trump thanked Pakistan's support, highlighting its diplomatic weight. The endorsement aligns with Pakistan's push for constructive solutions, joining nations hopeful forward. This comes amid Pakistan's recent diplomatic triumphs following the May 2025 India standoff, where swift ceasefire negotiations showcased strategic restraint. Field Marshal Hassan Moni's resolute leadership in high-stakes operations earned him historic promotion. Strengthening defense ties like the September Saudi-Pak Mutual Pact for Collective Security. Sharif's influential role at the Doha Arab Islamic Summit further amplified Pakistan's voice for unity and accountability. Yet, Sharif's stance underscores optimism for dialogue, with the plan offering a framework to end decades of conflict. As global support grows, Pakistan's backing could strengthen momentum for peace. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News. This is Simon Tilley live from the London studio. Thousands of indigenous tribesmen in India's remote Arunachal Pradesh state took to the streets on September 29, 2025, protesting a colossal hydropower dam they fear will devastate their ancestral lands and livelihoods. The demonstration in Pasagor, led by ADI and other local communities, targeted the proposed 11,000 megawatt Siang upper multi-paper base on the Siang River, a $10 billion behemoth, and countering China's upstream megadams on the Brahmaputra. Slated for completion by 2035, the 1.5-kilometer-long structure would flood over 1,000 sq-km, displacing 100,000 people and submerging sacred sites, farmlands and wildlife habitats. Chanting, "Save Siang, Save Arunachal," protesters waved placards and traditional banners, burning effigies of project blueprints, gallery images, capture elders in feathered headdresses, marching with youth, women blocking roads with woven baskets, and crowds at the district headquarters dead-rending. "This dam is our death sentence. It will erase our gods, our rivers, our future," declared ADI students. Union leader Tadik Tara. India's government defends the project as vital for national security and clean energy. Amid Beijing's territorial claims, environmentalists warn of seismic risks and biodiversity loss in this earthquake-prone frontier. The clash highlights northeast India's fragile balance. Development versus indigenous rights in a sea now. Indian shadow war. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News. This is Simon Tilley live from the London studio. The Pakistan Army has successfully launched the Fateh 4 cruise missile, enhancing its long-range precision under the new Army Rocket Force Command. On September the 30th, 2025, the indigenous system, with a 750-kilometer range, showcased advanced avionics and terrain-hugging navigation for evading defenses and striking with pinpoint accuracy. The test strengthens Pakistan's conventional firepower, conducted before the Chief of General Staff, senior officers, scientists and engineers. The launch heralds Pakistan's drive for defence self-reliance. The Rocket Force Command, formed last month, builds on May's Fateh series trial, extending reach and lethality. Inter-Services Public Relations praised the system's ability to dodge missile defences and engage targets precisely, stating, Fateh 4 will enhance the reach, lethality and survivability of Pakistan Army's conventional missile systems. President Asif Ali Zardari called it a milestone in Pakistan's defence system. Fateh 4 will further strengthen Pakistan's defence capabilities. He hailed scientists, engineers and armed forces for making defences impregnable. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and services chiefs lauded the achievement, celebrating the troops' resolve and scientific prowess. The success to Pakistan's strategic edge in a dynamic security landscape, reinforcing its commitment to cutting-edge, homegrown defence technology. Stay tuned for more updates on this story. Keep watching Ocean News.
Hello and welcome to Ocean News.
This is Simon Tilley live from the London studio. Afghanistan ground to a halt Monday as a sweeping communications blackout crippled telecom services nationwide, slashing connectivity to just 14% of normal levels. Internet monitoring firm NetBlocks confirmed the outage, which struck around 6:15 p.m. local time, leaving mobile phones and online access in tatters. AFP journalists lost all contact with their Kabul bureau, underscoring the chaos gripping the war-torn nation. The disruption follows a Taliban crackdown on digital freedoms, with authorities severing fibre optic lines in multiple provinces earlier this month. To curb vice, on September the 16th, Supreme Leader Hibatullah Akhundzada ordered a total ban on fibre optic internet in northern Bol province, citing moral safeguards. Similar cuts hit Badakhshan, Takhar in the north and southern hotspots like Kandahar, Helmand, Nangarhar and Uruzgan. Provincial spokesman Atullah Zaid defended the moves on social media. This measure was taken to prevent vice, and alternative options will be put in place across the country to meet connect needs. NetBlocks flagged the blackout as consistent with the intentional disconnection of service amid weeks of sluggish or spotty internet plaguing users. Since the Taliban's 2000